In this video, we're going to cover the 90-90 mobility drill for the hips. What you're going to start with is your left leg forward in an S position or an L position, and your opposite leg back with the same concept in an L position. Now, facing this angle, it looks like I have 90 degrees on both sides, while I'm still keeping my hips or a little square here about 90 degrees on each angle. Okay, now once you reach here, starting with the left leg at the front, I'm gonna bring both hands back and I'm gonna relax my hips. Now this position for some people might get very difficult because they might start feeling a pull on the rear hip. So what they can do to relieve some of that pressure is by sitting up. Okay, so if you feel that pinching or kind of like pain right here, just kind of relieve it by sitting up. Okay, but if you can, bring your hands back. You're gonna hold this position for about 30 seconds, and then you're gonna start pointing your rear toe into the ground as you open the rear hip. Now in this position, I wanna keep my opposite planted onto the floor as I open this as far as I can. I hold it for about 5 seconds, and then I point my toes down, and then I close that hip. This is where the mobility comes into play, because every time I open, I'm gonna hold it for about 5 seconds, and then I come back down. You can do this in a sequence of about 5 to 8 reps of closing and opening that rear hip, okay? Once you do your repetition based on your specific program, you're gonna open this up, and then you're gonna start shifting your body weight. We call this position the bear position. I'm keeping my heels on the floor, but I'm pushing my knees down towards the floor or away from my body. You can hold this here for about 10 to 15 seconds, up to 30 seconds, okay? Now, slowly, we're gonna start transitioning our body weight to the opposite side. So my left foot is gonna be pointing to the floor, and I'm gonna close that hip as I shift my body completely to the opposite side. It's the same concept as before. I'm gonna bring my hands back to kind of relax my hip in that position, but if this is painful in any way, I can relieve it by sitting up a little bit, okay? We're gonna start doing the same mobility on the left hip. I'm gonna point my toes into the ground, and I'm gonna open that hip without really moving my right leg. Okay, hold it for about 5 seconds, point your toes, close that hip, point the toes, open that hip, point the toes, close that hip for about 5 to 8 reps, depending on your specific program. Okay, we're gonna go here, transition again to the bear hold, and then I go back all the way down to the 90 on the opposite side. Okay, now on this one, you're gonna bring your shoulders aligned with your front knee. Now this is where some people might start feeling a little bit of pinching on the bottom leg, on the bottom hip, but that's okay. Again, try to alleviate that by sitting and relaxing. Always breathing in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth to try to relax your hips. Okay, now once your shoulders are pointing forward towards that front knee, I'm gonna start bringing my belly button forward with an arch in my back. I'm not trying to reach as far as forward as I can. What I'm trying to do with this is bringing my hips, tilting my hip forward until I feel the deep stretch on that bottom hip, okay? We're gonna hold this here for about 10 to 15 seconds at a time, breathing in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth as much as possible. You can rock back, and then again, transition and drive those hips forward. Every time you try to drive your hip forward and back and relax and move it back and forth, you're gonna start increasing the range of motion. So you wanna take it nice and easy, breathing in and exhaling, okay? Once we're done with it, again, you're gonna point your rear toe up, you're gonna open the hip, we're gonna transition to the opposite side, in the same concept. My shoulders are gonna be aligned now with my opposite knee. I'm gonna shift my hips forward into that tilt, okay? Bringing your back as neutral as possible, holding it for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then releasing, and then driving forward again, 10 to 15 seconds, and then releasing again. And then I can start doing with the full hip mobility, and then moving forward, again, sitting back, hip mobility, okay, and then forward again. Now, you can obviously use your hands to kind of help you as you're mobilizing those hips, but obviously as you progress through the program, then you're gonna be able to do it hopefully without those hands. But for now, that will be the 90-90 hip mobility.